Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of More to Explore, where Mike and I get to hang out with all of you live and keep you up to date with everything happening here at explore.org. And a lot is happening, including two new wolf cams, which we're seeing one right now. This is Shaman's Rock, and I'm going to go to the other one here right now. This is a live view of Zeeb's den, and of course, we have Mr. Zeeb taking a nap for us. Uh, So we're excited to introduce our newest partner here, Mission Wolf. Happy to welcome them to the Explore family. And we have a ton of live events coming up, and it's officially polar bear season, in which we'll get a preview of what's in store for this season. So let's jump right in. My name is Brian Bird, and joining me once again is Explore.org's resident naturalist, Mike Fitz. Mike, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian, and hello to everybody, no matter where you happen to be watching from. If you're new to Explore.org, welcome to the community, and of course, welcome back to all of our longtime viewers. We are the world's largest live nature cam network with about 190 live cameras all over the world. If you have comments, questions for us, drop those in the comments, in the chats. We'll be looking for them during the program today. If you want to let us know what cams you've been watching or looking forward to watching this week, please do so. We'll be looking for those. But yeah, right now we're looking at Zeeb's den. Zeeb is one of the oldest residents at Mission Wolf, and he lives with his longtime companion, Rosie. And both of these wolves are part of the Mission Wolf Ambassador Pack. And then there's another cam that we can watch. It's Shaman's Rock. This has the wolf Soraya, and she's described as fiercely independent, who seems to enjoy the privacy and natural beauty that this little perch provides. So a couple of new cams that we're excited to share with everyone. And if you're not familiar with Mission Wolf is located in a remote corner of south central Colorado. They have an off-grid solar-powered sanctuary. It's home to many unwanted wolves, wolf dogs, and some horses as well. Their wolves and wolf dogs are individuals who are bred in captivity and cannot be released into the wild. So the team at Mission Wolf works ultimately to promote values such as sustainable living, environmental stewardship, and respect for wildlife and non-human animals. And to learn more about their work, their philosophy about nature, and our new webcams with them, I recently spoke with several of the staff at Mission Wolf, including Katie, Tyler, Kent, and Paul. You will see them from right to left and in our interview. And here is our conversation. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Thanks for hosting us.
So I'm curious about your sort of story getting to where you are right now. If you can sum it up, I'm wondering how, you got involved in the conservation of wolves and in working at Mission Wolf and establishing it.
Yeah, it's a long story. That old show, Mission Impossible, that seemed to be very appropriate to wolves. Everybody we met was either horrified, absolutely horrified. First comment was, how long before they attack you? How many people have they killed? And how long, before they're going to be a problem? And most people that are afraid of wolves want to kill them. And at the exact same time, that wolf splits your mind in half of absolute horrid fear to absolute admiration. You've got people out there that know that wolves created their best friend, the dog. They know that wolves are a symbol of the wilderness, and now they want to buy it. And we've been telling people worldwide for 40 years, if you like it, go buy it. So that's how Mission Wolf started. We found a wolf in a cage. I grew up in the woods. I don't like animals in cages. We couldn't turn it loose. We knew it was too imprinted. They couldn't take care of it. So we're like, let's do it. And if you do anything, do it right. So I went to the federal government. And if you've ever thought about asking the federal government for a permit to take care of a wolf back in the 80s, the only common thought about wolves in the 80s and 70s was the only good wolf is a dead wolf. And their reaction was horrid. But we persevered. We got this wolf sanctuary. And that was the idea, to get the wolf away from one thing, humans. So that's why Mission Wolf is in the middle of nowhere. And the next thing we found is by giving the wolf a big, huge enclosure. If you're a wolf in a cage, you ought to have a big one. Instead of pacing and hiding like you see at the zoos and so many centers where they're confined, the wolves actually have room to hide. And instead of hiding, they ran up to see visitors. So Mission Wolf evolved by a public need. We didn't come out here and plan to do this. Everybody and their brother kept coming to see the wolf, and I never got to build my house. So we finally took the land and put it in the wolf's name as a nature center in 1988. And that's when a teacher goes, bring your wolf to school. And she said in 20 minutes, the kids learned so much more about a wolf than she could in 3 months of books and videos and teaching. So that's kind of what got Mission Wolf started, is we're an experience-oriented nature center, and we practice sustainability. Everything out here is solar powered, and it's become a lot more than we ever bargained for.
And you kind of touched on this in your answer, Kent, before, but I'm wondering how has your organization's mission sort of evolved since it started? Maybe, you started with one wolf there, but you care for many animals now. You've cared for like hundreds of them collectively since Mission Wolf began. So how has your mission evolved, and what motivates you to continue your work?
Yeah, so you take in one captive wolf, and I could always handle dogs. I actually am an engineer and an architect, but I lived in the woods all my life. I had extreme passion for nature, and my counselors in high school said, "Oh, you're good in math. You don't want to go do wildlife." Well, what happened is, by having it as a sidebar, we didn't do it as a business. We did it to simply make the wolf happy. And once you got one, okay, what's two? What's three? I didn't learn to say no until I had 52 of them. And 52 wolves will eat you out of house and home, 2,000 pounds of meat a week. And these were ex-pet wolves, movie wolves, zoo wolves, wildlife park wolves. And the sad part was, within the first couple of years, this is what motivates us. We learned there are more wolves in cages than live in the wild. Most wolves in cages die before they hit maturity, and humans now breed a wolf and a dog together, and they want them to look like a wolf and act like a dog. And some people can handle animals, a lot of people can't. And so we've had to turn away thousands of homeless animals. So that's what motivates us to do the education.
And I'm curious about what we can learn from wolves who don't have the opportunity to live in the wild, that might help us better understand the lives of their wild counterparts. I mean, you were telling us earlier about that story of bringing exposing maybe children to these animals, and how that changes them and helps further their education. So what can we learn from the wolves at your facility that help us illuminate a little bit of our understanding of the lives of their wild counterparts?
So as Kent was saying, the only reason to have a wolf in a cage is to have it be a very big cage. Some of the wolves here, they do get enrichment from human contact, right? So when we ooh and ah, they wag their tails, and we figure if we're going to have wolves that are going to die here, they cannot be reintroduced, as hunting is very much so taught. We use the visitors, the humans that come here, to learn about wolves, to see them as enrichment. Their scents, their smells, their sounds, they are all something that sort of spices the wolves' lives up here. And we figure that if they so choose, the wolves that do live with us, that they want to be educators as to why you shouldn't have a wolf in a cage, then that's their job. And it's sort of an ironic hypocrisy that we do understand, that the only real reason that we exist is to teach humans why you shouldn't have a wolf in a cage. We figure that humans, they forget what they hear, they might remember what they see, but we absolutely remember what we experience, what we can touch. So we figure the only way to truly solve this issue of having wolves in cages is to let humans be a part of the experience.
We've seen in the learning, the wolf, I first went to a school, and we started seeing that the wolves really respond to people. Kids learn to sit quiet. And then other teachers said, bring it to my school. And we started doing it in schools, but my interest was getting wolves back in the wild. I spent a lot of time as a child up in Yellowstone Park. And to know that we had a rule to return wolves, and 20 years later, we had not returned wolves, I was like, let's do something about this. And the most amazing experience that really founded this is we got mad at politicians. I think we all get mad at politicians. But I grew up in that world that you don't go tell the neighbors about your problems. You tell the person you got a problem with. It's called direct communication. And I charged a wolf into the federal building in downtown Denver in 1986. And it was a protest against the U.S. Fish and Wildlife because they had killed a wolf illegally up in Montana. And people busted them. And they don't like to get busted on that stuff. And we went in, and that wolf walked right up to the director of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. And if you can try to imagine being in a room with a bunch of politicians and a wolf walks in the room, dead quiet, everybody, oh my God. We shake hands, animals sniff noses. So that's how the wolf greets people. They just walk up, they sniff you on the nose, they look at your eyes. And he looked right into the eyes of that wolf. He was like, oh my God, look at how big that head is. Look at those feet. Look at that fur. Look at that tail. Oh my God, this thing's intelligent. It's contemplating me. They went from absolute horrid fear to admiration in about 10 seconds. And then he starts asking me questions, very honest, straight out questions. We told him the answers. And we kind of huffed out the door, walked out. And here comes the director running up to me, shakes my hand, thanks me for my information. And he tells me his biologist learned more in 20 minutes than 2 years in the field in Yellowstone. So they asked us to bring the wolf back to meet their team of biologists. Then I got asked to take the wolves to Washington, D.C. And if you can imagine what a congressman does when a wolf jumps up on their desk, exact same story. Scared, put his hand out. Oh my God, asked 3 questions. We answered them. And in 3 minutes, he looks at the staffer and he goes, oh my gosh, we need to do something to help these animals. She looked at me and said that she's been working for 2 years to get him to talk about this topic. She said that wolf in 5 minutes did more than she could in 2 years. So what we learned from wolves today is wolves calm kids that are traumatized. They look straight through veterans of war that are PTSD. We get a lot of folks that can't function today. They've got behavioral challenges, physical challenges, and they don't have confidence. And when we let these people have a behavioral experience, we watch wolves help people heal. So that's been the most significant thing I've ever seen in my life. Is the best thing I could do is be quiet and let people have a personal experience. And that teaches people why they shouldn't be in a cage and why we should support wolves in the wild.
And I think we have, this really special opportunity to connect with your sanctuary and some of the wolves that you have there through the webcams. It's a different type of experience. Nothing replaces sort of that face-to-face experience. But we get to know the individual animals on the webcams. We get to see them moving through their enclosures. So what can we expect, essentially, the cameras to highlight at the Mission Wolf Center?
Every Wednesdays and Sundays, we do a big feed. And so we'll get to see pretty much on a regular basis wolves feeding, sharing food, as well as magpies and ravens coming in to join the show. They're super active at the sunrise and sunset, as we can see in your background, and the regular howling, getting to know the wolves' howls is something I really enjoy here.
H are very personal.
And then what about the individual wolves that we see on the cameras? Can you tell us a little bit about them?
Yeah, so behind you on your screen, we've got Shariah, and she's up on Shaman's Rock. She's a bit more shy. She's really independent, but she's really sweet. And yeah, and you can see also the whole view of the mountains, which is cool. And then in the other camera, we've got Zeb and Rosie, who've been together for a while. Zeb's been here for 15 years.
Yeah. He's an old timer. We're going to have
Yeah.
to say goodbye to him soon. That's hard for all of us, but we're really honored to see Zeb get his own Zeb stand camera. And
Yeah, he's
do you
definitely
know where Zeb's been, Katie? I think Katie's been here only a few weeks. She's starting to really just get the handle of this. But can you tell people a bit about where Zeb comes from?
So Zeb was bred originally to be part of the Twilight movies. I think his uncle was actually part of it, but he didn't make the cut. Him and his sister Farah came in, and I think Farah, sometimes the camera does zoom in on her, so you might catch her a bit.
If we look over your left shoulder and we see your camera operators will zoom in, his sister is down below. But of all the wolves at Mission Wolf, they are some of the most outgoing. Zeb will walk into an audience of 1,000 people. They ooh and on, he wags his tail. It's nothing we trained him. It's his personality. His sister, no way. Don't get me anywhere near him. So that's what Mission Wolf does, is we let the animals' personalities thrive. And as Katie was saying, Shariah on the rocks, she wants nothing to do with people. And that enclosure is close to 3 acres. She's got a beautiful area. She can run and hide if she wants. And as you can see, she loves to stand up on top of Shaman's rocks. And she's got quite a view to watch over.
Yeah, that's one of the special things I think about watching animals, through webcams, is we get this opportunity to know them very much as individuals. So we see that on many different types of cameras, and this is another, I think, great opportunity for our audience to experience that. There's one other thing that we were discussing briefly before we started the interview, and that is sort of the importance of experiencing nature and watching wildlife. So I'm wondering, how do you think that process, being out in nature or maybe experiencing nature in other ways and watching wildlife, how is that beneficial to people?
Oh my, I could talk for an hour on it, but I simply came out here to get this wolf, the biggest home, far away from people. And what we found is we took in a second wolf and a third wolf, and we tried to give them a natural habitat, as big a space as possible. We have 50 acres fenced. It's one of the biggest areas around. We feed them feast and famine. But what we found, and this is what surprised me, is happy wolves make happy people. And as Tyler was saying, when visitors showed up, instead of pacing and running scared, the wolves actually run up to the fence. Oh my gosh, there's someone new here. It's exciting. That is what has helped people, I think, find confidence. So that's what Mission Wolves become. We just put the land in the wolves' name. We say we don't own the wolves, we don't own the land. If people can simply find us, we're way out in the woods. You have to work at it. But if you can, we give people a tour. We don't charge money. We have a membership program where people help feed the wolves, and that helps keep the wolves happy. But the bottom line that I have learned is I can talk till I'm blue in the face, and I can tell most anyone, wolves don't eat grandmothers. No, they don't act like dogs. Everybody goes, yeah, fine. When they get a personal encounter, they all of a sudden get that face in their face. They get over their fear. They're like, and it gets a sense of compassion and empathy. So we work for over 30 years with a lot of treatment programs. And these are students that are learning backcountry leadership skills like NOLS and Outward Bound and Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. We work with a lot of behavioral programs that take students that don't have families or just, engaged. They've been disrespected to the point they have trauma. And we find that those people gain the most out of this place. And after 30 years of working with many different psychologists, we've learned that in the world of human psychology, if we don't have compassion and empathy, part of our brain's not functioning, people don't have remorse. And that explains why people can kill things for fun. And what we've learned is by allowing people to interact with an animal, we don't bait them, it's not food, it's a personal one-on-one, that it opens up a new area of the brain. It allows people to find calm. And we believe, and science is starting to show this, that an interaction with nature develops compassion and empathy for other forms of life. If we can prove this, we've seen it happen here for many years, but as we learn more about an interaction with humans and animals, which is kind of what explore.org is formed around, is how to get nature into the public to calm the public. That seems to be our common outgo, is animals help people learn to be better people.
Yeah, I love that answer, and I couldn't agree more. I think it's a matter of science kind of catching up to common sense, if that makes sense.
I
Like,
love it. Yeah.
yeah,
Or
like
yes.
we know, like when you go out into the forest and you have, you know, a time for a calm moment out there, you feel better, right? So you know, science is more and more, like the evidence is piling up that it's just so beneficial for us to be able to experience nature in a variety of ways.
That's
So
what
yeah, thank you very much for that answer. Is there anything else that you want to share with us?
I'd love to leave a little tip that maybe we can do this again. And we've learned that the majority of the United States public do not pay attention to scientists. Scientists tend to present themselves, well, you can't possibly understand me because I'm a scientist and I use words that you don't understand. And it's really belittling to the public. I'm a scientist. And I was horrified to learn that the public didn't listen to science 30 years ago. So what we've done here is turn science into common sense, just like you were saying. And when I can show a 6-year-old child that when a wolf makes a deer run, the trees get to grow, the birds get a home, the deer and the elk aerate the ground, you get more groundwater retention, the trees put shade on the ground. And for the first time in almost 60 years, wolves are making elk move, vegetation is coming back, waterways are being improved, beaver are returning, wolves have killed 80% of coyotes in areas in Yellowstone. That means there's now more small prey, rabbits, to feed animals like lynx. So it's a cascade that a wolf starts movement through species. And I would love to talk in the future about how science that wolves we've learned science about wolves, how that helps stimulate a better environment for all of us. This is really important news. It's new science, and science takes a long time to get into our science books.
Yeah, we should do that. We should plan on that sometime in the future. And I want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their day to join us. And we're looking forward to watching your wolves on the webcams on explode.org. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate what you guys do. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks again to the staff at Mission Wolf for taking the time out of their day to join us. I spoke with Katie, Tyler, Kent, and Paul. After our interview ended, we continued to talk more about the webcams, and I think we'll try to schedule some more in-depth live chats with them about their work in the new year. So looking ahead a few months, we might be able to schedule a few of those things. And I know people are probably very curious about, you know, kind of like their day-to-day operations and more about their philosophy and how they work, as we're looking at Zeeb here still chilling out with some of his breakfast, maybe it looks like. But we did have one question that came in from that cat on YouTube, who is wondering, is there a way viewers can submit questions to Mission Wolf, e.g., are there electric fences to contain them and protect them from others? So I know that Mission Wolf has been in the chat or the comments section on their webcams on explore.org. I'm not sure if they've meandered over to the YouTube comments yet, but I know on explore.org in the comments there for those cameras that they have posted in there. So there's maybe an opportunity to ask them a question there. And then I can't say yet that, yeah, their wolves are enclosed within separate pens or fences. So they're aware that there's other animals around and things like that, but they're very careful to keep the animals separated and keep them in their large enclosures, which may be, 20 acres or something like that for an individual animal. So yeah, I think we're going to try to learn more about that in the future as we schedule more programs with them. But it was a good conversation. I enjoyed talking with them, and I think we could probably talk a lot more about what they do there. And Brian, the team at Mission Wolf also extended an invitation for us to come and visit. So maybe we need to plan a trip.
Oh, 100%. I will definitely be there. As like we kind of mentioned last time, I did get to meet Kent and one of their ambassador wolf dogs, and I firsthand, can attest that it's definitely life-changing to be greeted by a wolf. So it'd be super cool. I'd be so down to go there and get do a tales from the field segment there for sure.
Yeah. And in one place, we're going to change gears here for the remaining part of our program because it is polar bear season now on Explore.org. And one place that Brian and I have been fortunate enough to visit in person is Churchill, Manitoba, in Canada. It's home to our polar bear cams. So brown bear season in Katmai National Park is winding down. I know a lot of our bear cam fans are like, "What are we going to do? What are we going to do? I can't watch brown bears." Well, polar bear season is just ramping up. So if you're going to miss watching the bears in Katmai, we have a way for you to get in your bear watching fix.
Definitely. And I can't say how much I appreciate these camps because I was lucky enough to visit Churchill a couple years ago, and just to see how absolutely remote this place is. Like, here's a clip from flying into Churchill. It's like absolutely just super remote. And then we're going to hear things like the Lodge and Buggy One, and just to see how massive these buggies are. Like, here's a photo of me on the ground, and I'm 6'3", like I'm a pretty tall dude, and I barely touch the floor of the buggy. So these things are absolutely massive, and then it takes a few hours driving out on the tundra to get to the Lodge. And the Lodge is essentially what I can just describe poorly as just a train of these buggies, like, and they all link up, and it's pretty truly amazing that we get to see such a remote place every day at home.
And I love that picture of you next to the tundra buggy because occasionally on the cameras we'll see like a polar bear next to a different tundra buggy. Maybe it won't be Buggy One. It'll be like one of the other operators out there, and the polar bear will stand up, and it's basically its nose is kind of touching the base of those windows at the top. So yeah, they are some giant animals. And if you're curious to know more about the polar bear cams I was able to speak with Elisa McCall from Polar Bears International last week, and she was able to give us a brief introduction. So Lisa, you talk more about where Churchill is located and the locations of the various polar bear cams.
Sure. So Churchill is on the coast of Hudson Bay in the province of Manitoba, Canada. And we are just outside of Churchill when we're running the polar bear cam. So we're east. Churchill kind of sits on a bit of a land shelf. So there's the town, and then we're east of the town out in the wildlife management area. That's where we have the Tundra Buggy Lodge that is run by Frontiers North Adventures. We've got a north cam and a south cam on the lodge. And then if you go even farther east out to Cape Churchill on the tip where the coast starts to run north-south, we've got a couple cams out there as well. That's really fun because all sorts of wild stuff happens out on the Cape. And then, of course, we will have our Tundra Buggy One EV this fall with a mobile roving cam that allows us to kind of go where the action is and bring polar bears from other parts of the tundra to you.
I love watching or trying to watch each of the different cams. It's hard to do all at the same time. But can you explain what the different webcams, kind of see and focus on? I mean, they look for polar bears, but there's different things that they may have the opportunity of seeing.
Absolutely. Out in the Cape cams, those, again, that's kind of where it's way far away from humans. It's very wild. It's on the coast, and you'll see polar bears. A lot of the big males historically hang out there. You'll also see foxes, though. In the springtime, you can even see caribou and other animals as well. And that's also a great place to watch the weather. And we know some helicopter pilots that will check the Cape cams before they fly out there to see what the weather's doing because it's that far outside of town. But when we come back closer to town, the wildlife management area, the lodge cameras. So those cams are mounted on the lodge, of course. So that view is what people staying on the lodge get morning and night. And there we are still very close to the coast. We're near Polar Bear Point, it's called. And we are looking both north into the bay and then south behind us. And so we do get bears kind of coming up behind the lodge and being pretty curious about the sights and smells. They can choose to go anywhere they want in the area, but many are totally bored. So they're going to come check us out and see what we're up to. So we get some pretty cool views on those lodge cams, and that's often a good place to see sparring. And then the Buggy One cam will be on our Tundra Buggy One EV, and we are staying on trails the whole time. There's an existing trail network. We don't go off-roading at all, but we'll roam the trails within that area, and we'll just find what's going on, and we'll look for other wildlife. We'll look for sleeping polar bears, moms and cubs, and we can kind of go where we feel like going that day, which is pretty fun.
And how long does the main polar bear viewing season last?
The core polar bear viewing season is usually about mid-October to mid-November. There's quite a bit of variation in November as to when the sea ice freezes up. As soon as the sea ice freezes up, the bears tend to be out of there pretty quick, but it can be anywhere from early November to early December even. So we try to really keep our cam audience updated on what's going on. We check the sea ice maps every day. We're checking the weather. It's really variable year to year. So starting in mid-October, though, we have at least a few great weeks of watching polar bears.
You mentioned Buggy One earlier. I'm wondering what's new this year with Buggy One.
We have a whole new Buggy One this year. We're very excited. So we will have a live chat saying goodbye to the old Buggy One, which has really been a home away from home. We are modernizing, though, as much as we can. And we are very excited this year to be unveiling our new electric Buggy One. So stay tuned for more on that. It's got all sorts of bells and whistles, and it will be much quieter and a smoother ride for us and the polar bears. We're very excited.
Well, thank you very much, Elisa. I'm looking forward to watching the cams.
Thanks so much, Mike.
And thanks again to Elisa McCall for sharing that information with us. Yeah, you can head over to those cameras right now if you want to watch polar bears. In fact, I was watching a polar bear on the polar bear cams right before this program went live. And there's going to be some special polar bear themed events on Explode.org as well. So be sure to look for those. Like the moderators will help spread the word. Sign up for our newsletter if you want to know more. Things like, our popular polar bear bingo and maybe even a board game coming up this year. So be sure to check that out. But Brian, there's bear camp season is kind of, over. So a lot of my workload is less. Like I don't have like 4 programs a week like I did, during the middle of the summer. But there's still a lot going on.
So much is happening, especially with polar bear season. It's such a short season. It's only about a month or so. So we do have a bunch of live events coming up, including polar bears. But getting through just this week, we have the Africam show tomorrow morning. And then we're going to have the Bye Bye Buggy One live event. Like Elisa was mentioning, definitely check that out to get a tour of the new EV Buggy One. And then Wednesday, we have Tools for Schools Motivating Action, part of the Tundra Connections programming. And then later on Wednesday, we're going to have a live chat about the future Service Dogs, a Warrior Canine Connection, as they celebrate their 100th litter. And then on Thursday, we have the Wild Moment show from Africam, and then a celebration of polar bears. Really, it's pretty fascinating. We're going to have shows produced, on the West Coast, on the East Coast, in Churchill, on the tundra, and all the way from South Africa. So it's pretty spectacular, the kind of programming that we have going on.
Yeah, we're going to, Naomi Boak and I from the Katmai Conservancy are going to try to host one more Bear Camp play-by-play tomorrow. So that'll be the 21st. We're going to do it a little bit later in the day, 7 p.m. Eastern time, 4 p.m. Pacific. That'll give the cameras in Alaska time to kind of wake up from their slumber overnight, maybe get some extra solar power so we have some juice to see those cameras. So, yeah, I think that'll be a fun one. That's probably going to be our last play-by-play for the year. We're going to try to do something with or without the cams, though. So maybe we'll be looking at more clips if the cameras aren't live. But please join us for that as well.
Awesome. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. That brings us to the end of our program. So definitely check out the wolf cams at Mission Wolf. Check out the polar bear cams. And I want to give a special thank you to our moderators, our camera operators, and of course, my co-host, Mike Fitz. And join us next time for another episode of More to Explore on November 3rd. And until then, happy exploring.